I have brought you all here today. Latency, my bad. Okay, let's go! Sheesh, I've been flung up! What have you done with the drum block? It never destroyed it. I never destroyed it. And think you know that regardless, I'm taking that. Before this video starts, I like to say this video took absolutely ages to create, about a month long. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my channel, as well as check out my other socials. For example, my Twitch, where all the footage you're about to see was streamed live. In short, what I'm about to show you is one of the most in-depth and immersive live Minecraft storylines on the internet. I really enjoyed making it, so I hope you guys enjoy it too. And if you do, feel free to drop a like, it's free and I'd appreciate it greatly. Once again, subscribe, because you could be a part of the first 100 subscribers, which is I don't know, a big club to be in. And without further ado, enjoy the video. I'd like to tell you a tale, one that changed the tides of time. Had I known what was under these lands, I'd have never have came. This tale follows one lone wanderer and his kingdom in a land of mysteries and treachery. That lone warrior was me, ZiggyZeZe. This tale begins with me arriving on a plain hillside I like to call home. Well, actually, Grumshire, a land of spirit and prosperity. After arriving in Grumshire, I began to get to work building a settlement and a home so that I could live a little more comfy. The first piece of what I call home was a simple tent situated at the front of my base, quickly followed by many more, building Grumshire to what it is today. As new builds arose, word of Grumshire got around, which attracted my first resident, Gracie. Gracie came from a different land, but that was okay. Diversity would only improve our culture. As Gracie settled in, news of Grumshire spread even further, attracting merchants from outside the city's border, who brought goods and wealth to distribute throughout the city. Grumshire was extremely wealthy, and a bustling and healthy colony of success and wealth. Little did we know that this was only the beginning, the spark that would light an ever-growing destructive flame. Unfortunately, news spread in a way I never intended it to, jeopardizing everything I had worked for. Word of Grumshire had spread rapidly, news of an ever-growing, powerful kingdom taking land as they pleased, reaching out to a hostile tribe. Canada, a land of tyrants and savages, native to the kingdom I had branded. They did not take this news lightly. They would not so easily have their land taken and branded by the stain of an outsider, as that is what their ancestors had spent their lives fighting for. Within not too long, Canada made its presence known. First starting with vile, petty threats, then moving on to bigger things, an action that would begin the growth of the flame. Canada's leader Dev and his barbarians Nellz and AJ began attacking Grumshire, compromising our safety. Canada was playing psychological warfare with us, humiliating us in any opportunity they could. Flying and destroying our banner, humiliating us. Then whilst trying to humiliate once more, they made the biggest mistake. Whilst constructing a tower to shadow over our land and humiliate us, Canada had cut down our forests, destroying our wildlife. Little did they know that this would trigger a war. They killed Gracie's beloved bee, an only pet, and we had to act back. And we fought back hard, killing animals from Canada to starve them out. Their blood sheep were kidnapped and slaughtered before them. All out chaos broke out. Then Dev sent out a message, stating, "I now declare myself ruler of all lands, including Grumshire." We couldn't stand for this, so both sides declared war. That was until it came along. Lying in the ruins of a wall, we left ourselves exposed, allowing an even bigger threat to grow. All of the blood we had spilt had saturated the land, awakening a powerful beast from beneath our feet. This beast would change everything, turning the tides of a war. The dragon, as we called it. This beast was a ruler of many dimensions and a leader of a great alien army. We were really outmatched, and within not too long, we could lose everything we had worked for. Desperate times called for desperate measures, a decision I never wanted to make. Grumshire knew there was too much at stake, and we knew we weren't powerful enough to do this, leaving us as only one decision. I had to call a meeting and attempt to convince the Canadians that this was a serious threat. But was it worth sacrificing my honour? Well, I guess we'll find out. On one brisk and brittle morning, I did what I had to. I called the meeting. Everybody meet at the docks. It was time we settled this petty dispute. Everyone arrived shortly, and for the first time we met, the savage clan from the north and the nobles from the south. For the first time we talked, face to face, no walls in between us this time. No time was wasted, and within minutes of arriving, I had called for a meeting at my war hall, my main base of operations. Then came the agreement. The meeting commenced, and it was time we hopefully could come to an agreement, but would it really be worth it? This was going to be challenging. I had to convince a tribe of ruthless savages to make a big decision, and a very unfavourable one nonetheless. After discussing and disagreeing back and forth, I proposed a deal. Whilst the dragon remained a threat, the war would pause. However, a simple agreement of trust wouldn't work for me. I proposed a deposit. Both sides would offer a relic of importance so that we could ensure trust. The Canadians offered a hoe made out of a strong material, and Grumshire offered the Grum Block, an ancient relic that has been carried around since the beginning of time, recognisably being held by the beings I called Grum and the staple of my kingdom. At first the Canadians were not too fond of this idea, but as me and Gracie tried to convince them, they finally saw eye to eye with us. Finally we could live in peace for a while. With an agreement being made, we began to prepare and plan on how we were even going to accomplish this. First of all, where or how would we kill this beast? Lucky for me, my kingdom was diverse, and a rumour started to brew. Apparently the key to finding the dragon could be achieved by combining elements of each realm. The eyes from the Ender and the blaze from the Nether. This would be the key to the dragon's lair. Both sides began to get to work. Canady would take the Nether, and Grumshire would deal with the eyes. Time passed and we were ready. It was almost time that we would put this mess behind us. We gathered the materials needed. It was time we tested this rumour, see if it was really true. Taking all of our eyes and all of our blaze, we combined them, and like that, we had the key right in front of us, an Eye of Ender. We were prepared, and it was time, one final night before the big day. We all knew that we could have all died, but we understood this. So we spent our last night free, partying, eating, doing whatever we wanted, so that when it all changed, we could feel free. The Canadians stayed overnight, preparing and feasting. The sun had risen, and it was time we would set off for victory. We all met at the docks. We would use the sea and boats to get there as fast as we could. And like that, we set off on the journey, one that would win us honour and pride, or would it award us death and despair? After a long journey of over 1,000 blocks, we arrived at a small island in the middle of the ocean. It would be here that the beast laid. As we arrived at the island, the eye began to react, flying out of my hand down into the ground. We had made it. The easier part of our mission was complete. We began to dig out this island, coming across a strange brick. We had officially found the fortress and the lair of our oppressor. The block was broke, and like that, we were in hostile territory. We began exploring. That was until we came across it. The door. The door seemed to have 12 slots. This confused us all. But then the rumour. It all made sense. The eye was not only the key to finding it, but the eye was the key to opening it. It seemed we underestimated what we were up against. We set up a camp around the portal. Beds, tools and food were supplied, and we were ready. It was about time we finally ended this. Could we really defeat this dragon? This was it, our possible last time together. We gathered all of our eyes, placing them in one by one, until the last. It was up to me. Tension ran through us all. This was it. Done. Could we really kill a dragon? The door cracked and in it opened a strange portal. A portal that would take us to the dragon. There was no going back now. We had to end this. We were here, the beast's lair. It was mesmerising, nothing any of us had ever seen before. A plain of yellow ground and towering pillars of obsidian. This was a strange place. More revealed with tall creatures roaming. Then we saw it. From within the dark black void, the beast revealed itself. A massive and fierce being of obsidian scales, the colour of the void. Needless to say, we were all scared. In seconds, the dragon noticed us, flying above, shooting down powerful dragon breaths. We couldn't hurt the dragon, so we had to come up with another plan, and quickly. It seemed like the towers were important, so we began focusing them. On top of the towers were crystals. They seemed to be important, and they were protecting the dragon, so we began to take them out one by one, some with bows, and some required us to climb really high. This is where it would get tricky. With most of the crystals gone, it was only the tall towers left. However, the dragon did not give these up easy, attacking us, knocking us off and almost killing us. But we came prepared. With well-placed water, we were able to counter the dragon, quickly learning how it fought and how we could beat it. And then the last crystal. It was finally time. The dragon swept down towards us and we finally faced it. And it was even scarier up close. Whilst the dragon was down, we threw all we had at it. Bows, hits from our swords, everything. The dragon flung me up into the sky to a really lethal height. Was this really going to be the end? No, I did not come all this way to die and lose everything that I had worked for. It would take more than that to kill me. We were quickly whittling the beast's health down, and it was close. Were we really about to do this? Victory was close. The dragon was clearly weak, its health lowering hit by hit. Then the last shot. One final arrow flew through the air, piercing the dragon's skin, sending it into an explosive death. We had done it. It was the end. The dragon was gone, and with it left a gift, a trophy of our win. The dragon's egg. Obviously both kingdoms wanted this, but this was not the time or the place to do this. For now, Nellz would take the egg, hiding it away from both sides. We made a strong team despite our disagreements, but those times were over. Our deal still remained. Whilst the dragon was roaming, we would be at peace. But the dragon was no more. We held one final discussion of our journey, this time in foreign land. For the first time, I stepped foot in Canada. It would be here where the fate of the war would change forever. It was time we settled this. Gracie and I sat around their table, hopefully one last discussion to end this all. Firstly, we discussed our terms. Maybe we could put this war to rest. Canada was fond of this idea, but Grumshire, we couldn't do this. We suffered way too much. Gracie's bee, the tower, the flags, everything. It would be humiliating to let them get away with this. The war would continue.
I'd like to declare war again. I'd like to declare war. Gracie, you've done something to Gracie, okay? You've done something to Gracie.
You guys took my bee.
No holding back. Before anything else, we ended our deal, giving back the items we wagered, the block and the hoe. However, Canada had their eyes on something completely different. No surprise, but they wanted to take the egg, a symbol of their power and terror.
If you'd like to give the egg over to me, I think we can end this meeting.
Dev was repeatedly pushing Nellz to give him the egg. He was obsessed. Who knows how far he'd go for the egg? Well, besides me, I soon found that out. Whilst they were arguing, we left heading home. We deserved the rest after all of this. That was until I saw it. Nellz wanted to meet, but what for? Was it a trap? That didn't bother me. Curiosity had caught my attention. Later on that day, Nellz would meet me at the docks, away from home. She seeked to make a trade. The egg for safety and a new life. Dev was on a ruthless pursuit, and the only one powerful enough to end his terror was me. So a plan was in motion. Once I had the egg, Nellz would live under my protection, and I knew exactly where she would go. The only problem was, she didn't have the egg. She hid it at Canada. Turns out, this deal would be more difficult than we had thought. Gracie would go. Under the cover of dark, Gracie would sneak in, grab the egg and return. Then I would meet my side of the deal. Gracie left, and we waited, unsure of whether she would make it back. Unsure of whether or not Nellz was even telling the truth. Gracie returned, egg in hand. This was a big moment. All would change from here. The egg was mine. Nell's side of the deal was complete. Now it was my turn. Dev was close, now knowing Nellz was here. Quickly, I rushed her to safety. She would stay where the biggest secret of Gumshoe would hide, my hidden army's home. Needless to say, she would definitely be safe here. As I left, I had heard that Dev had arrived, restlessly searching for Nellz. I hid, we needed more time. I would distract Dev, taunting him, even trying to convince him to stop, to see what he was doing to himself.
You hold no power, the egg's destroyed. I hold no power now, the egg's destroyed. We're on equal ground.
Escape Myra, trying to bring me back to reason, but you see, I'm not. You've destroyed the only reason.
But no, he wouldn't stop. By this point, Dev was lost, and with this, he had lost everything. Time had passed, and AJ had left Dev's tyrant kingdom, coming to Gumshoe for safety. Dev was a broken man, and a failure. The egg had taken over. Time went by and the war settled down. Canada was now just Dev. He didn't have the resources to even fight back, and to me, they were already defeated. The war was won. Little did I know that Dev had changed strategy. A long time after Dev was defeated, and a very long time after the dragon fight, something would happen, something unexpected. Gumshoe was even wealthier now, and whilst trading with the locals, I heard a noise. Inside my war room, a room I hadn't used since, well, the war. As I turned the corner to investigate, I was shocked. The block, it was gone, and next to it, its empty frame was Dev, covered head to toe in full netherite armour. I shouldn't have showed mercy. I confronted him, and then he swung for me, dealing a hefty amount of damage. He ran fast and didn't stop running, all the way back to his base. I gave him one last warning.
You go through there, there's no going back, you know that. Oh, you're so dead.
One last chance. It was no luck. The chase was on. Running all the way back to Canada, I saw him. He had the block. I had to follow. So I did. Heading down into his secret base, his territory. I was back here again, and it had changed. For worse than I could imagine. I had a very uneasy feeling of what was about to happen. Before me was Dev, and a chamber, clearly a prison. I had fallen right into his trap. Dev had all the cards in his deck. He threatened to destroy the block if I did not voluntarily give him everything and imprison myself. Too much was on the line here. That block was far too meaningful to be destroyed. I became a prisoner, but for the cost of my people's safety in the block, it was a sacrifice I had to make. I was alone, stuck in a box with 2 items to mock me, a shield flying my banner, and an eye of the Ender. Just like in the beginning, I was being humiliated, again. Before leaving, Dev uttered the words,
As I hunt down each of your subjects in turn, and I burn down your camp.
"No."
This is the peaceful solution, Ziggy.
He was a snake and a liar once again. I had to get out and get back quick. I couldn't let this happen. But there was one major flaw to this plan. I had the egg, and in his attempts to mock me, he offered me the key out. The eye used to mock me could be used. It had a unique ability to teleport the user. So, with a well-placed eye, I could escape my cell. Dev really underestimated my intelligence. Above me was a ventilation system. This was my escape route. By using the eye, I would have to precisely throw it into this small opening, and I could be free. But I only had one chance. If I missed this, it's all over. Freedom, but I could not wait. I had to get my gear and get back and warn the others now. Sneaking out and grabbing my gear, I spotted Dev. It seems he was preparing for an attack. I didn't have much time. I had to think quick and smart. Everything was counting on this. I had a plan. I needed Nellz and AJ for one last showdown. A trap, and a scheme that would finally end this. I set a trap using everything Dev had, and I would end him. The egg, his people, everything was leading to this. A fitting end to this journey. After not long, Dev discovered I was gone, and was coming to finish what he started. I had just enough time. He was here. I had the last laugh, humiliating him for everything. The egg right before him, but he'd have to get through me first. He began to load his bow, and it started. The trap was triggered. As Dev readied his bow, I attacked, drawing Nellz and AJ out to ambush him. Dev, weakened by the ambush, began to flee, heading to his tower built on my land for one final showdown. We chased him further and further across Grumshire, tiring him and weakening him, exhausting him of all of his fight. We were on his tail, and he was weak. In seconds this could all be over, the war put to rest. Reaching the top of the tower, me and Dev had our final face-off, the arena where this could all end. But then, out of nowhere, it was done. AJ taking the last hit, revenge for all of their suffering. Dev was no more, the war was over. The egg war was over. Finally, we could live in peace. Grumshire had earned this rest. Or so we thought. Finally, this war's over with. Wait a second. Where's the egg? Oh no. Oh no.